This particular frame is rather nice. I like the hill with the trees and the blossoms and the orchard. It's all very good. Again, there's a particularly nice configuration of green stuff and trees that are good enough for me. There's a lot of this. Pretty scary. The road's just gone. At night, if you didn't see this, you're in trouble. Very scary. That's from the storm we had. There's a lot of that. So you see how careful you have to be, even riding around during the daytime. These are precarious road conditions, and one can imagine that parts of the road could yet collapse. I might be heading into a zone of more collapsed roads because the park up here, it's dirt roads and whatnot. This farm usually has a... Oh, there's the donkey down there. See, I love this animal. And usually when I ride by here, I have a treat, an apple or something for this one. He's, or she, I forgot. Darling animal. Very, very friendly. And this farm, they have 2 daughters, and it's so lovely to watch them taking care of the animals. It's a beautiful thing. Okay. So yeah, so far so good. The road is fine, and it's beautiful. When you get into these parks, you feel, you know, like you're in the countryside. It's really nice. And I love, obviously, being here in the sunshine. So good. Yeah, so I don't know, for me, my whole life, cycling has been a thing. Not a serious cyclist like a racer or something like that, but I've always had bicycles and I've always loved riding them. And that's how I learned my way around Shanghai and Tokyo and Kamakura area, Hayama Kamakura, and how I learned my way around everywhere. Lantau Island. I just get on the bike and build a map in my brain, and it's perfect for that. So here we have a bit of an obstacle, which means I'm going to get dirty. That's that. Poor me. So yeah, let me get through that. Tree fell. So woe is me. I'm going to be one muddy person when I get up this hill. Poor me. Yeah, so that was challenging with all the ruts in the road. You know, trusting your balance in your mid-60s or when you're 50, it's different. You really have to have the, you know, tenacity and a little tiny bit of courage to say, look, I have balance, I'll get through this. I'm not going to break my hip. It's a little bit scary. Well, hello. That was a fun ride. The parks are still okay, still wet after all the rain we had this winter. But everything's good, so I'm very happy. Yeah, so while I was riding, I was thinking about a few things. Again, what my friend Mark said about totalizing and not knowing what I was on about. It still sticks with me. What can I say? He's a childhood friend, so. um, it's just the idea that what I'm on about on Substack or anywhere else is simplistic, kind of like trying to put everything in one basket. Well, that would be true if I were an evangelical Christian preacher trying to convert you to some sub-brand of Christianity or something. And nothing I think about or try to do is simple. Maybe I'm not an academic. I don't have the right to have an opinion or to try to express myself. If I do, I'm some kind of an arrogant asshole or something like that. I don't, people resent me or whatever. My old friends, right? They kind of give me backhanded encouragement. Like they'll send me something to try to help my mind, or some aphorism that's supposed to help me chill out. Or they'll tell me that it's kind of, are you okay with the fact that you didn't become an astronaut or a movie star or a fireman when you grew up? It's like, did you? Most of us grow up and in some kind of random stochastic fashion fall into whatever the heck we wind up doing over time. It's an evolution, but it's one mistake or one choice or one serendipitous moment after another that winds up being the last 40 or 50 years of a person's life. So, I don't view it that way. If I did, I think there, people who are too fragile that way, too wound up in wanting fame or fortune or wanting to achieve success in some domain and then they can't. I think that is fuel for depression and could be very deleterious to one's health. And people who go through that, it's tough, and I don't envy that experience or feeling. I don't have that feeling. I was thinking, in the olden days, back in the 2010s, I was listening to this podcast called the Brain Science Podcast. What was Ginger's last name? Dr. Ginger Campbell. And she talked to a lot of interesting people about the brain and how consciousness works and all that. One of the things that stuck with me very deeply when I was watching or listening, auditing those podcasts was this idea that your mind, your consciousness, your brain is embodied. And it's so true. The more I thought about that and read about that, the more profound that whole idea became. And I realized, that really is what true. And not only is my consciousness embodied, the vagus nerve, the microbiome, whatever, so many things going on, but I'm embodied in a place and a time right now. I'm embodied in the process of talking to you. I'm in a particular place, a context. There's so many ways that I'm connected to everything. And that has a profound effect on whatever's going on with me. So like in sacred traditions, or let's say indigenous or whatever, native, however you want to say it, people talk about the sacred or the connections that they have with people, or with life in general, like animism or whatever. And there's this sense of relational qualities that are much more important than the, I, thou, or the me evangelical thing, that we all get depressed about. We're on that treadmill, hedonic treadmill or career treadmill, trying to achieve something, and we're really not having the best time. Maybe every once in a while we get the right neurohormonal cocktail, and for a few minutes we feel pretty good. And then we go back to the treadmill and wonder, what the hell is it all about? And then you have your existential angst and whatever. We forget just how connected we are to everything and to each other. And it's really tragic, because instead of you could give your friend the time of day and say, well, let's have this conversation. I'm curious, what are you on about? And then you have this contact, connection, conversation, even if it's not face to face. So obviously, with my friends here, we can have face-to-face conversations about stuff. Sometimes I say, a Cospelon party, never more than 6 to 8 people, uh, somewhere comfortable and relaxing, and we just talk about stuff. Uh, and sometimes those conversations become very deep and wandering and fascinating and adventuresome and adventurous, and it's so nice. And you walk away feeling kind of blissed out. You get plenty of neurohormones, plenty of oxytocin, and you're very, very happy. You feel quite loved. You feel a deep connection between other people, which is always nice. And the same thing can happen, obviously, when you're doing sport, when you're swimming, surfing, hiking in nature, working in the garden, all kinds of things. But generally speaking, our world for thousands of years, since this dominance hierarchy kind of mode of being locked in, maybe it's because of agriculture, maybe that's just one of the reasons, it's like the dawn of everything. I don't think there's any one particular reason, it's complex. But anyway, we started to think that we needed to build castles and have, elite ruling classes and whatnot, and go up the complexity, the complexity chain, or whatever you want to call it. And bit by bit, we kind of fell into this trap, and that, it includes multipolar traps and all that kind of thing, coordination problems and whatnot. But the thing is, you're stuck in it, and you grow up steeped in it, so you can't get out of it. And then you become less and less connected to everything, and more alienated from everything. So you have all these philosophies from the 19th century that are pretty damn dark and nihilistic. And some of them that I've read, not Wittgenstein, but I forget the other guy, but some of them I've read have really been bummers. But you engage with it because you kind of get it, why the person is so negged out on humanity, just thinking that the best thing that could happen to the Fermi paradox is for humanity to go extinct. Just get the fuck out of here, and let the world rewild, and maybe the next iteration of human-like creatures will be more like bonobos or chimps, whatever. Or maybe we're just gone and some other thing evolves. I read another thing in Skeptic magazine about aliens might possibly have to evolve to look kind of like us. I don't know if that's a human supremacist perspective, but it is in a certain sense, because we're coming from a certain biological Gaia context in which we evolved. And so we can only imagine how other people might evolve, and they might have to evolve kind of like us to be intelligent. But we might be the stupidest animal in the universe. We don't know, and we probably never will know. And if we don't get our shit together real quick, this process of learning and growing and connecting and experiencing is going to be over. Of course, I'm going to die, but I always like to think that there's some beautiful humans coming after me, doing beautiful things. I'm not the guy, the guru. I never tried to sell myself as that. I just don't sell myself. I'm not a guru. I don't want to be a guru. But what I would like people to appreciate me for, if anything, on social media, is my curatory instincts. And maybe they hate my curatory instincts. Is that even a word? Curatory. Maybe they don't like what I share because it might be uncomfortable, or they might disagree with it. Who knows? But at least, I have a coherent, through line of curatory activities and sensibilities. And what I'm really trying to do is get, hopefully, Americans and maybe Brits and some other people in the Anglosphere, Australians, New Zealanders, to wake up and end the evil empire. So that's my opinion. I think that there's plenty of evidence to show that our empire is evil. For example, I saw a piece by Propaganda and Company. He went to just went to Iran, and a whole bunch of other journalists went to Iran, and they went into Iran overland, and they're visiting various cities around Iran and documenting the fact that Iran is a sophisticated, civilized, beautiful, ancient culture, and that the Iranian revolution isn't evil, and that Iranian people are just people like you and me, and that the country's still alive and well, even if, let's say, Israel decides to use all of its nuclear weapons, however many there are, 19 warheads or whatever, to blow up every major city in Iran. They're not going to achieve anything by it, and they won't win anything. Just the fallout alone in the region would screw things up so bad, and it would ruin the global economy, and Israel would die anyway. It's just a suicide. But they're fanatics. They're Zionist fanatics, and they're lunatics. And so who knows what they would do? Who knows what Trump and his minions would do? And he doesn't even have minions. Trump is the ultimate minion. He's just a puppet. Most people parrot things as opposed to try to engage in thoughts and ideas and feelings, make sense of them on their own terms, and then share them. These people are parrots, they're puppets and muppets, and they're idiots. And we should stand up, the 3.5 percenters, tattoo that on your arm. You got the 3 percenters, that's because I've killed somebody, that's because I'm a true criminal. 3% of a motorcycle gang, oh my God. 3.5% of the United States of America, what is that? 14, 20 million people, I don't know. But that many people tattooing 3.5%, we're getting rid of this stupid system, and we're going to start to coordinate, collaborate, connect, create, and restart something. Restart civilization. I mean, on one hand, you have these people, or the sensibility of being, what would I say? Custodians, or we used to say stewards, right? A custodial species, or a species that recognizes consciously its responsibility for good stewardship, right? So you want to maintain a system that is sustainable and that is not destructive to living systems, thereby allowing the whole process to continue in as amicable a way as it can, under the constraints of just being people and whatnot, being human beings and being part of nature. So yeah. So anyway, it would be nice if we felt that responsibility, and to get out of the Maya, the illusion, the sickness, the pathology, the metastatic mania of modernity, modern techno-industrial, neoliberal, financialized capitalism, globe cap. We're going to have to make a break, and it's gonna be painful. It's gonna be like withdrawing from heroin addiction or something. It's not gonna be comfy, and we'll find, I think, or communities that try this on small scales will probably find that life is better at a smaller scale. Life is better in a simpler community. And life is better when you have all these complex, beautiful, evolving, wondrous relationships with one another. It's just freaking nice. And you're not on the hedonic treadmill, and you're not working to become somebody. Then you have to tell your friend when you're 60 something that, yeah, it's been pretty damn, eviscerating for me to have to admit, especially to old friends like you, that I didn't win an Oscar. I'm ashamed of it. I feel terrible. And I hope you still like me. I hope you still think I'm not stupid. I don't have an Ivy League education, and I'm not, what are my credentials? What right do I have to exist? Well, I think my friends and family value me enough for me to be able to live with myself, and so on. So that's a thing. So I wanted to call out these journalists who are heroic, loving people, trying to share with Americans that the people that we're killing aren't our enemies, not your enemy, but actually just an abstract enemy to to global capitalism. Global capitalism. That's what that's why you're killing people, for billionaires. That's why you're murdering these people, and it's not good at all. They're heroes. And by the way, Iran is a huge country with 90 million people in it, so these journalists will probably survive the trip. But journalists who reported on Gaza, the complete destruction of a concentration camp, they're all dead. They've already been murdered. And we just sat around and watched the thing happen, and vilified people in the United States, young people and concerned citizens, for giving a shit. It's like turning somebody into a criminal, criminalizing compassion and empathy and consideration for the beauty and specialness of human life and families. It's grotesque. And then some of these people are so hypocritical, they call themselves pro-life. It's absurd. Makes me mad. So that's it. That's all I wanted to say. That's what was going through my mind every once in a while, as I rode through the mud in the park. And so I'll go back to reading my books and stuff. But yeah, give me a break. And if you see the video and you've watched it till the end, why don't you click like? It won't hurt you. A little pat on my back would go a long way, And admitting that we like a pat on the back once in a while is nothing to be ashamed of. If somebody asked me for a hug, I'd gladly give it to them. So take care. Comment if you think whatever, anything. Please comment. Okay, take care. Have a good one. Bulliam T out.